now. Okay, good. So again, welcome. And this week, our focus is on vitality. Our focus is on vitality as week 2. And the promise of this particular meeting is that you will be left with an awareness of where in your life you are losing energy and lacking vitality. You will be able, you will be given the tools. Sorry, just a moment. Okay. Yes, let me start again. The promise of this meeting is that you will be left with an awareness of where in your life you're losing energy and lacking vitality. You'll be given the tools to access your vitality back through regular practices. And like I said, the theme of the meeting or the theme of the week is going to be vitality. And I took some time to go over what vitality means. And vitality can mean the power giving continuance of life. And it is present in all living things. Another definition is energy. It can also mean energy. So let's have that in mind as we go through our week and also as we go through this particular meeting. So I just want to hear from a few of us. Let's create an intention for this particular meeting. So yeah, let us know, what is your intention for this particular meeting? Hello? Hello? Okay, so I'll repeat again. There are a few people who are having a lot of background noise. So please, when you're not speaking, mute your microphone. Okay? So if you open your app, there is a little microphone at the bottom left corner. So tap on that so that it's off when you're not speaking, so that we don't get the background noise. Okay, so I'll ask again. Let us hear from some of us what your intention for this meeting is. Yeah, would anyone like to share? Okay, so I'll start with mine. Yeah?
Julie, I would share. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I think my intention would be to just kind of hear how other people are doing with their intention to practice every day and talk to their groups and how, you know, and we make it on process, I guess.
Thank you for that. And I'll ask that you repeat your intention, but this time, just say it as it is. Like, just no explanation and just say your intention is this.
Okay. My intention is to connect with others in the group and share experiences.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Would anyone else like to share their intention?
My intention is to get to know how the other participants are coping with the journaling part of the journey.
Okay, with the journaling. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Rizwana. Okay, good. So that's actually the next part we're going to get into. And what we're going to get into next is a place where we all get to, oh, just a moment. Okay, good. So the next part of the meeting is where we check in with each other on what is opening up from the practice or the work of 40 days. We'll also talk about what our breakthroughs were, what our breakdowns were, and also what insights we are learning. So we'll go step by step. And if everyone, it's open for everyone to share. So at each question, we will take a few shares from everyone. So the first thing is I'll ask is, oh, sorry, just a moment. Sive has an intention to share. Okay, so I'll just read his out. He said his intention is to gain access to better self-inquiry. Okay, and he also shared that he needed to gain a better perspective and tools and how to clarify the intention. Because before I make just a moment, before I take an action of involving myself and others, I feel like sometimes, okay, now I'm understanding. So I'll read this out for everyone. Siva says, I need to gain a better perspective and tools checklist on how to clarify my intention to myself before I take an action involving myself and others. I feel as though I sometimes trick myself and tell myself one thing, but there is always a little feeling that I may or may not be true with intentions sometimes. So I feel like that's more of like a sharing. And he finished with, my intention is to gain access to better self-inquiry. All right, thank you, Sive. And yeah, so we'll quickly jump into checking in for the week. And I'll ask, what is opening up for you out of week one in general? It may be to do with a specific thing like maybe meditation, maybe the diet, maybe the practice, or maybe the excavation questions. It might be in that, or it might not be any one of those things. Just share what is opening up for you out of week one. So who'd like to share?
I'll share, Julie.
Yeah?
Hey, everyone. Good to see you. For me? I've discovered in week one, for as strong an intention as I have to go onto my mat every day and to eat well, and to sit and meditate, I have an equally strong resistance. The stronger resistance comes up, as was surprising for me. I thought it would be easier.
I'd like to share. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So one thing that has come out really strongly for me is to do with relationships and how present I want to be in the relationships in my life is a choice that I can make depending on the energy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
One thing that has come out strongly for me during these past few days is about relationships that I want to be present in is a choice that I can make depending on how the energy that comes from that relationship makes me feel, and also about people or relationships that want to be part of my story or part of my journey. And the fact that if they really want to be present in my relationship or in my life, then it would show from the efforts that they make in being present in my life, and that if they don't make that effort, then it's just not meant to be. They're not meant to be part of my story. So that's something that really came out strongly with me, because I also feel I don't also want everyone to be present in my life, and I don't want to be present in everyone's life, because not everyone is my cup of tea, and I may not be everyone else's cup of tea. So that's something that came out really strongly to me this past. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Zwana. Thank you. So I have a sharing here from Grace. And Grace is saying, yes, Grace says that from the diet and exercise, she learned how to always go with the present moment by chewing her food with awareness and presence. And thank you, Grace. So would there anyone else like to share on that? What's opening up for you out of week 1? Hello? Okay, so I'll say another reminder. Please, for everyone who is on the call, yeah, it's important to, when you're not speaking, please have your mic off so that we can be able to hear each other, because there's quite a lot of background noise, including where I am right now. Yes, so that's why when I'm not speaking, I mute my microphone. So also you, when you're not speaking and you're listening, make sure to mute your microphone so we can all be able to hear each other sharing and hold space for each other. Okay, so yes, somebody wanted to share?
Hi, Julie. Can I share? This is
Yes.
Jen.
Welcome.
Thank you. I can turn on my video for a minute. Something that opened up for me in the first week is realizing that sometimes I wasn't fully present or like really enjoying the meditation or the practice as much as I like to, and taking that time for myself. Sometimes, especially in the morning, I'm still viewing it as checking something off of my list or something that I need to get through to like get on with my day. So I'm trying to see over time how that might change. Also, my tapes of self-judgment have been getting a bit louder. So just trying to recognize my experience and yeah, not let the self-judgment be quite as loud in my ear.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Okay, that's actually really awesome. I also share with you that sometimes when I am doing the work of 40 days, it's very easy to either get into like the checklist mentality, or what do I need to get rid of right now, or what do I need to do to move on, and it becomes like a to-do list. And then it's just like, okay, I have 1 hour in the morning, get my meditation done, check, and this, check, and then now for the rest of the day. I just want to bring to our attention that even as we talk of the training actually starts when we've left training. That's when we are witnessing the training happening, or when we're actually able to step in and be in the training, because we've actually done all the work and now we need to be able to embody it. So I invite you, on whatever journey you're on, it may start out looking like a checklist. And so I invite all of us to look at what it would be like if we actually fully engage, and not say like it's a checklist, it's something I have to do, or I do this thing, then I go on with the rest of my day. But to invite us to just all be present at whatever time we are doing, which was the theme for last week, but we can carry that on as a practice. And the benefit of being in practice is that, yes, some days it will be good. Some days it may be not so good. Some days we are constantly listening to our tapes. some days we've had enough of, our relationships and our people around us. So it's awesome to be in the flow and be in the presence of what is possible out of this work. I'll quickly share some of the comments you're getting from our fellow friends. And Cynthia says, I had to take my awareness off my mat to diffuse one negativity at work. I really felt of service when people were able to see the positive in each other after our discussions. I like being able to practice service off the mat through use of intentions. I received these intentions during meditation. It was really powerful to use it in another way that was positive, but it was also a challenge to remember it off the mat. Malvin also has to share, and he says, daily practice has improved my physicality and flexibility, and I've also learned some advanced poses. And finally, Joy has to say that what's opening up for me is that I have to do the work. As uncomfortable as it is, there is no other way out other than doing the work. So thank you all so much for your shares. It's really awesome to see the work happening. And yes, we'll quickly move on to the next bit, and is to check in on what breakdowns and breakthroughs and insights we've been having. So a breakdown, I would describe it as something you felt that didn't work well, or that didn't go as well as you hoped it would, or somewhere where you feel that you're not doing the work as you may think you should. A breakthrough is any success you feel you may have had, and any aha moment where you're like, that's what it is, and you get a recognition of sorts. An insight is more like, okay, so this was happening, and I have gotten some extra information that I didn't already have in any normal experience. So maybe, like, I would give you mine. Like, for my breakdown this week was not practicing all the 6 days that we were supposed to practice. I didn't complete that. So for me, that was a breakdown. A breakthrough I had was in the power of being present, of not being bound by saying I'm too busy, of saying I am too tired, and just being willing to be in the moment. That was a major breakthrough for me. Finally, one of the insights I had was that I can be able to have what is on my mat everywhere else in my life. We have the saying in Baptist yoga that where you show up anywhere is where you show up everywhere. So I made it my personal business to be able to show up as I show up on my mat, to bring that same intentionality and presence to all other areas of my life. And it's been truly amazing week so far. So yeah, I'll open up and let's hear from each other. What were our breakdowns? What were our breakthroughs? Or what insights have we gained so far? So I'll repeat the question again. Again, I'll ask, what were the breakdowns? What were the breakthroughs? Or what insights have we learned, have we had in the first week, in week 1?
For me, currently.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Hello?
Yeah, say something.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, okay. So I'll open the floor. You're able to share. You can share what your breakdowns, your breakthroughs, or insights.
So, for me, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So for me, my breakthrough was that I was able to fully present this week. I took my practice for what it was. There were days that
Sorry, Michael, I can't hear you clearly. Please come up again.
hello, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
So I was saying that my breakthrough was that I was present throughout every single practice this week. I was fully present in every single moment. That was my breakthrough. But my breakdown was in the meditation bit of it. I feel like for the past 1 or 2 years, apart from during the practice or during the training, I feel like I've always meditated a particular way, one kind of way. So I just feel like, okay, you always meditate this way. So I feel that dying need to, switch things up and, change the way I meditate. It's not even about the length. It's about, how, because I always focus on my breath. I always concentrate on my breath, and I always do breathing when I'm meditating. So it's always been about my breath and my, my inward, how do I explain this? And how I feel or how I am presently, and just trying to be present. But I know that there are other forms of meditation. There is loving kindness meditation, which another instructor took a while ago, and I felt that that was amazing. And I just feel like, okay, I need to change things when it comes to my meditation. So I had this moment during the week where I went to the manual and I read out the meditation, and I just thought like, okay, I'm reading it out and my eyes are open. I'm, trying to articulate this word to come out or to I'm not meditating. So I just felt like, and I feel like my breakdown was the moment or the period where I just felt like I wasn't growing in terms of my meditation practice and just judging myself about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Quickly, there's someone else who's sharing on the chat, so I'll just quickly read this from Grace. Yes, her breakdown is my translation of the time together in my daily life. I've really noticed my indecision. The practice I asked from the fire was action, but I have noticed myself procrastinating, even by choosing whether to practice in the morning or evening, instead of just commitment to stick to the plan. Every day I am changing my routine to see what might work best, but it probably hinders me from establishing a routine by changing the rules for myself every day. The breakthrough is how calm and strong I have felt in my body. Finally, we also have another share from Chris. And Chris is saying, my breakdown is that every time I am doing asana, I feel like I forget the next pose. And I tend to refer to my GIP sequence card, which makes me lose a bit of concentration in my practice. Okay, thank you, Chris. I'll quickly have to say, it's okay to be in the flow. Just do what you do. That is the work, to work on yourself. And sometimes we hear our tips of, I'm not paying attention or I'm forgetting. And that is okay if you need to refer to the GIP card. As we said a lot of time during the training, that repetition, the art of mastery is repetition. So yeah, repeat until it clicks. So I'll move on to ask another question. Is how much did you participate in the program? And what actions can you take to create 100% commitment in the program. So for example, in case, have you missed anything? Is there maybe something you didn't do during the week that you're struggling with? Feel free and share that.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Hello? Okay. All right, so I think we'll move on to the next bit.
Hello.
Hello? Hi, who's speaking? Is that Ibrahim? Hello? Yeah, okay.
Journaling like one of the days this week when I went through all the questions that were set and kind of did the journaling with myself, but I haven't been like proactive about journaling anything other than what was asked or independently. So I just wondered if else was doing better or doing it differently. Like, how often are you journaling, and are you going back to the same questions different days, or like not really questions? I don't know what else to do really.
So can I speak?
Yes? Just a moment, please. Let me just quickly. Okay, go ahead.
Journaling about, and how often beyond the question that was set.
Excuse me, just a moment, please. Excuse me, everyone. There's somebody who's getting a lot of interference, and I think, Harun, please, if you can just switch off your mic. Okay, yes, good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so Grace, you said your question was whether or not to go back to the same question every day, or whether to get back during every, or to do the questions daily, yes?
Yeah, just like I've only journaled once this week when I answered the questions that were set. And so I'm wondering how other people are journaling, if they're asking themselves more questions or spreading the questions out. Like, what is people's journaling experience really? Because I only did it once and I don't know if I should be doing it more.
Okay. So specifically with the journaling, it's all these practices of 40 days are a daily work, okay? So it would be advisable to handle a piece of the excavation questions, a piece of the journaling, the meditation, of course, and the practice 6 days a week, and to rest for at least 1 day in the week. So I would advise to break it up in manageable bits. So maybe day 1, you tackle 2 questions. Day 2, you tackle another 2, or 1 question each day, where you can really take time to consider that question and then go ahead to journal on it. Now, when it comes to journaling on other subjects outside the question, your journaling will, shall I say, will tell on you. Like, for example, in the questions that we were asked were to consider what are our thoughts, or say maybe our bodies. And then you start journaling, and as like for me, I started journaling about how I feel when I'm practicing, and it quickly went into how I felt when, when I'm eating. And then it took like a right turn, and it became how it felt when I'm out with friends. So it's possible for the questions to start as one thing and finish as something else, because again, this is your own experience coming out on paper. So don't block it. If it goes that way, go ahead. But again, the excavation questions are a guide to get to the bottom of what's going on with you personally and internally. So that looks different for different people. But the practice is to spend some time each day to do that journaling work. Okay. All right. So we'll quickly jump into the work of this week. And this week, like I said, our theme is vitality. And we're going to work with 2 laws. And the 2 laws we are working with this week are Law 3, which is step out of your comfort zone. And then Law 4, which is commit to growth. So those are the 2 laws we're going to work on. And I'll quickly share with us together a bit of a reading on what we have from these 2 laws. And I'll quickly begin with Law 3, which is to step out of your comfort zone. Okay, so Byron shares, to step out of your comfort zone means to let go of the things we think we know and to try something different. In the process of transformation, we try to pick and choose the issues we would like to work on as a way or to play it safe. However, when we play it safe, we continue to perpetuate the same issues that keep us in our comfort zone. If we want to be up to big things in our lives and the lives of others, then there can't be any conditions on what we are willing to work on. We can't choose to be willing in one area of our lives, but not in others. When we operate in this way, we are limiting the vastness of possibility. We feel vulnerable when stepping out of our comfort zone. Vulnerability means taking a risk and knowing the results hold the possibility of joy or pain and everything in between. Numbing one end of this spectrum means that the fullness of either end is not possible. As we go through the transformational process, we learn that it is our concern for looking good that keeps us in our comfort zone. This concern keeps us unavailable to the bigger miracles life has to offer. The comfort zone really should be called the discomfort zone, because rather than providing us a refuge in our lives, it is the discomfort we are seeking to escape. Okay. Sorry about that. That's mine. Yeah. Okay. So we'd like to tackle stepping out of our comfort zone. And with this, similar to how we went through it last week, there are a few, shall I say, excavation questions that we can look at right now. And I'll ask the question, and then I'll open it up to everyone to be able to share on what comes to them. So on Law 3, step out of your comfort zone. What does it look like for you when you are in your comfort zone? Hello? Yes, so what does it look like when you are in your comfort zone? Hello? Again, please, everyone on the call, let's be mindful of each other. When you're not speaking, kindly mute your microphones. Yeah? Okay, yes. So let's share. What does it look like for you when you're in your comfort zone?
Typical example of what it looks like to me
Yeah.
is me.
Yeah. Speak up.
Okay, so a typical example for me. It looks like for me to be in my company, it's me staying at the same job in a toxic area for 4 years, when I should have stayed less than a year or a year at most. I stayed in the same job for 4 years in a completely extremely toxic environment. So that's me in my comfort zone. That's what it looks like to me. So whenever I hear anything about staying in your comfort zone and stepping out, that's the first thing that comes to my mind, because it took a lot for me to step out of my comfort zone. So that's what it looks like to me.
Okay, thank you, Michael. So I have a share from Grace, and she says, for her, the comfort zone is familiar. It is lazy and it is easy. And Joy says, it looks like taking no risks and letting fear lead the way. All right, cool. Anyone else would like to share on that?
I can share.
Yeah.
So for me, it's in my relationships with my family. Staying in my comfort zone, like I find it very easy not to share my everything with them. And like I say to myself, if I want, like I could have a really open and honest conversation like with my dad right now, but it's easier for me to just kind of stay quiet and not talk about like my true feelings with them. So I keep finding myself just staying in that comfort zone, even though like I'd really like to have a breakthrough in my relationship with them.
All right, thank you for that. Finally, there's someone here who's saying for her that comfort zone, yes, this is Cynthia, it's comfortable and keeps the status quo. It's hard to confront issues or try something new, but I must do it to make change and transformation happen.
Hey, Julie, can I share something?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to say that I sort of feel like be willing to grow and step out of your comfort zone go together really well, because you have to do one to get the other. And the example that I want to bring up in my life is my 32-year marriage. I see a lot of divorces and situations around me, and I think one of the things that's been really difficult but really helpful and I have to continue to deal with is confrontation and communication. That's difficult and always forces me to step out of my comfort zone, because it's so easy to sweep problems under the rug. And I find that my relationship with my husband grows every time I step out of my comfort zone with those issues and actually confront them, even though the hard part in the beginning, it always ends up in growth. And when I sweep it under the rug, it can go on for several years of sort of turning into like a cancer. So I think they just go together really well, and you can't get the second one without the first one.
Right. Thank you, Cynthia. Yeah, so still on the comfort zone, the next question is, what are some strategies you could employ to notice or be aware of when you are getting stuck in your comfort zone? I'll repeat. What are some strategies that you could use to notice or be aware of when you are getting stuck in your comfort zone?
So 1 hour.
Yeah? Hello?
Okay. That was the plan. Because I saw.
All right. Just excuse me, everyone. Again, I'll repeat.
Yeah, he was very vocal.
I'll repeat, please mute your mics when you're not speaking. There are a lot of background noises. I'm hearing cars and so much else going on. And I'll repeat again constantly. Let's hold space for each other. And when you're not speaking, mute your microphone, please. So I'll unmute everyone again. And yeah, let's jump back into the work. The question is, what are some of the strategies you could employ to notice or be aware of when you're getting stuck in the comfort zone? Would anyone like to share? Okay, so okay. A lot of news. Like this. Hello. Okay, so I have here a few shares. So she says that I find myself not willing to step out of my comfort zone. The first thing I do will be to relax with it and look for another way to make use of it. Yeah, I can see your name. I can only see the make of your phone, but thank you for that share. Anyone else on what are some strategies you could employ to notice or be aware of when you're getting stuck in the comfort zone? Yeah? Yes? Okay. So I'll give a share on this one. And for me, one of the things I do when I catch myself or I want to know whether at all I'm stepping out of my comfort zone is about, shall I say, I think a year ago, I had this habit because I was just getting new to Africa Yoga Project and the work of transformation. And I put off speaking to my sister because it would always bring up these feelings and my stories of that she's an alcoholic and she won't understand and she's not willing to try. And it was easier for me to not speak to her than to speak to her. And so whenever I wanted to call her, and I found myself, that was the one question I would ask me, if at this moment, was I willing to make a call to her? And if the answer was no, I knew immediately that I was definitely in my comfort zone. But when I found that my answer was yes, I knew I could be able to step out of the comfort zone. I'll repeat. So it was with a situation with my sister. At that time, she was an addict, and it was always that I would not call her on the phone because I knew it would be the same stories over and over again, maybe her asking me for money, or her not understanding why I want her to change, or her not willing to want to do the work. And so that's one question I would always ask myself to know whether or not I was getting stuck in my comfort zone. Is that if in that present moment I was willing to pick up the phone and call her, then I knew I was willing to step out. And if I wasn't willing to call her, I knew I was not willing to step out. So yeah, I'll open it up one more time. What are some of the strategies you could use in order to notice or be aware of when you're getting stuck in your comfort zone?
So for me, I think one strategy for me is that whenever I start to make excuses for, for toxic situations or toxic environment or people's terrible behaviors, let's say terrible environment, let's say friendship, the workplace. Once I start to realize that I started making bad behavior,
sorry, just repeat that part again. We kind of lost you.
Excuses for people's terrible behavior. When I start to, pardon them and make excuses for them over and over again, or then it's a trigger for me that I'm just comfortable here. That's why I'm not challenging it, or I'm not moving away from it, or not moving away from that environment or that situation. So I think that's the trigger for me. And also in my self-inquiry, I think that's also been a good strategy for me when I for the past 1 week, I've had this practice where just before, after meditation, I will just sit and think about what the things that are important to me, the things I'm passionate about, the people that I care about. Just think of where my mental state is at that time. So I feel like just having that moment to just be with myself and really think about all of these different things also opens me up to identifying when I'm in my comfort zone.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, so I want to go and jump into the fourth law. And it is commit to growth. And when we talk about commit to growth, again, I'll quickly read a bit of a snippet from the law, as Baron says. The practice of committing to growth is committing to staying through struggles, urges, and cravings. Many of us come up against self-induced barriers and blocks that could hold us back from showing up for others with integrity. There are many things that can trigger us to react. For example, holding a long yoga pose, or a craving from addiction that we give into, and even an interaction with someone may bring up a physical or emotional response in our bodies. When we react to these stimulants, it leaves us lacking integrity and not being powerful in our actions. Our ability to weather the sensational storm and simply stay with the discomfort is a practice. When triggered, our growth comes from pausing and starting to feel what we are feeling. This creates space between the stimulus and sensation in our body. And in that space, we reclaim our power to choose how we want to respond versus jumping into reaction mode. There is no exit door in life, only choices. And our life is an accumulation of the choices we make. The practice of yoga gives us the opportunity to see where we are reacting and or fleeing from uncomfortable situations. To be a powerful person and to take a stand for others and ourselves in our life, we are committing to generate our highest intention, no matter how uncomfortable the situation. When faced with decisions and choices to make, ask yourself this question: will this decision bring me short-term gratification or contribute to my long-term intention to have vitality and happiness, so I can show up with integrity and leave others in their own greatness? When this question is truthfully answered, the choice comes with ease and our commitment is reinforced. Byron says, without integrity, there is no power. Commit to integrity with your actions and be disciplined with your commitment to make others great and have extraordinary accomplishments in your life. So yeah, just on that, what does it look like when you're in reaction in your yoga practice and in your life? I'll repeat that question again for us. What does it look like when you're in reaction in your yoga practice and in your life? Would anyone like to share? Hello? Yes, would anyone like to share? What does it look like when you are in reaction in your yoga practice and in your life?
Mommy, I go.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes?
I think that
Hello, someone was speaking? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the share. Was somebody sharing? Yeah, I'll repeat the question just so we are all clear, yeah? The question is, what does it look like when you are in reaction in your yoga life?
Sorry.
Okay, again, please, if you're speaking and please switch off your mic so that we can hear each other. Okay. So I'll share on this. Hello? Yeah, I'll quickly share on this particular part. One way I can tell when I'm in reaction in my yoga practice is when I make it my business to want to get out of the pose. That is specifically when I am in my practice and I don't want to stay in that plank. It is my first reaction to get out of the pose. That is always the first thing I do. I'll move on again to the second question here. And that is, where in your life are you creating drama? And what are the facts? And what is actually happening? And what do I make it mean? Again, I'll ask, where in your life are you creating drama? What are the facts? And what is actually happening? And what do you make it mean? Yes? Okay, so I have a share here from Cynthia. She says that it's sort of a panic mode. If I react too quickly to a pose or a bad experience, I am learning to stay with it longer before responding and really try to think before aggressively responding. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you for that. Where in your life are you creating drama? What are the facts of what is actually happening? And what do I make it mean? Thank you, Cynthia, for that share. Would anyone else like to share on that?
Can you please repeat the question?
The question is, where in your life are you creating drama? What are the facts and what is actually happening? What do you make it mean? Hello, do we all understand the question?
No, we don't.
Okay.
I don't understand the question.
Okay, I'll repeat it like this. So the question is, where in your life are you creating drama? So it means somewhere that you are, just a moment. Yes, so where in your life are you creating drama? That could be like, where is a situation happening? Something is actually happening and you've created a story around it. I'll give an example. One place where I create drama is with my best friend. Whenever she had a complaint about her boyfriend, she would always call me and I'd quickly react. I was like, yeah, leave him. He's terrible. He's not good for you. Just step out of the relationship. Why are you even there? In fact, the other day, I start creating stories about what that means. And all she's trying to communicate to me is that right now she's feeling hurt. But I'm in the story, yeah, leaving. I'm not addressing the fact that my friend is hurt. I am talking about what a terrible boyfriend that the guy is. So I'm creating drama around that situation. So the fact is that she has called me and she wants to talk about what happened. But I am making it mean that she's not able to step out of that relationship because it's not good for her. So do we have a better understanding of that? Hello?
Awa share luong na ro kan yung ngade ko ni ratiga lo ke jumo kanya. What?
Hello? Okay, I've opened it up once again. So would anyone like to share on that?
Amar me background me feature nen mango pero wati kacara kaya. Hila. Wara gang ini. Agar digo widi.
Okay.
Me wara digo widi rong. Kau poji kore.
I'm sorry again, there seems to be so much background noise, and again, the call is stretching a bit longer than it needs to. So I'll have to close it that particular question there, but I'll quickly read the shares I am getting on chat. So if you're able to access the chat area, I'd request that you put in your shares at the chat area, because there's just too much background noise for us to be able to move forward on this particular call. And I'll share details on how to mute the microphone so that we can be able to hear each other. Okay, so I'll quickly read. Grace says that sometimes I create drama at work by getting caught up in all the things everyone else isn't doing to help a situation, instead of noticing what I could do differently, or reflecting on my expectations, or emphasizing with what else might be going on. And Navy is sharing. Navy has to share that I'm currently feeling numb after just hearing news that my parents are divorcing before this call. I'm trying to think where I'm creating a story and where there's a reality. Navy, I'm going to request that we can stay on this after the call, and I'm going to reach out to you after the call. I'll read from Grace. Grace says that sometimes I create drama at work by getting caught up in the things everyone else isn't doing to help a situation. Oh, sorry, I already read that one. I mean to read from this person, TechnoSpark. Creating drama in my life, especially when I pay attention of what I'm doing. So I'm not creating drama in my life when I'm listening deeply and observing without judgment. Okay, cool. So Sally has to say that she's creating drama around being single. The fact is that she does not currently have a partner, but she makes it mean that I am not good enough, I am not lovable, and that no one wants me. And when I create drama, I try to justify myself on these issues. So yeah, thank you so much from Sally, Grace, Navy, everyone who's sharing on the chat. Let's use that for the next bit of the question. And given that you know where you are creating drama, what does it look like when you stay committed to your growth, both in your yoga practice and in your life? So you're staying committed in your yoga practice and in your life, and you're committed to your growth. What does it look like when you stay committed to your own growth, both in your yoga practice and in your life? Again, let's keep using the chat so you can just type out what you would like to share. I'll just leave about a minute or so that you can be able to type that out. I'll repeat. The question is, what does it look like when you stay committed to your own growth in both your yoga practice and in your life? That means when you're not in reaction and when you're in response to what is going on around you. All right, I have a share here. And the question again is, what does it look like to stay committed to your own growth, both in your yoga practice and in your life? Cynthia says that it reflects back to me with other people's positive behaviors. All right, thank you, Cynthia. Thank you for that. For me, I also share on this particular bit on what it looks like when I stay committed to my own growth in my yoga practice. It looks like being able to have no energy around a pose. And what I mean is, some time back, I was practicing headstand and I was creating drama about not being strong enough to do the pose. What really helped me, and when I stayed committed to my own growth, was that not only was I able to do the headstand, but I did not feel bad about it, and I did not feel weak in the days that I could not be able to do the pose. I was able to enjoy it and be able to move forward and just enjoy a practice. I'll share what you're all saying. Grace says, for me, it's starting with myself, checking in with the barriers and stories I have created to hold back so that I get to the facts and better understand what's really going on before I give up. Sammy says that when I stay focused on my practice, I have been receiving compliments and views from friends, both positive and negative. Someone else is saying that when I commit to growth, I have to leave all attachments and, when I commit to growth, I have to leave all the attachment and habits, and I have to devote myself to the practice and share my practice with others. I have to accept change and transformation. Chris is saying that when he stays committed to his own growth, he feels like nothing is impossible. The fact that I myself took my body to the mat means that I can also get up and do or get a good job better than the one I have. Thank you. Sally also says that for her, it looks like practicing and living in the present moment. It looks like when I get pulled away with thoughts and living in my head, I notice and without adding any significance, bring myself back to the present moment. In my practice, it looks like flow, no matter how the shapes are showing up in life. And it also looks like flow, catching myself in the story and returning to the life that is unfolding right in front of me. Thank you for that, Sally. Right, and for the next bit, I'm going to invite you to make a declaration. And so the question here is, what are you committed to having a breakthrough in? So for example, I could say, I am committed to having a breakthrough in a consistent practice. So it could be a physical thing you've selected, or I could be a spiritual thing you have selected, or an emotional thing you've selected. So you can say, I commit to having a breakthrough in joy, or I commit to having a breakthrough in confidence, or I commit to having a breakthrough in courage. So I'll invite you guys to share on the chat, what are you committed to having a breakthrough in? So the line should read, I commit to having a breakthrough in something. So I'll start with mine, and mine is that I commit to having a breakthrough in a consistent yoga practice. So I'm going to open the floor and hear from you guys. What are you committed to having a breakthrough in? Rose says that I am committed to having a breakthrough in time management. Navy says, I commit to having a breakthrough in a consistent, challenging yoga practice. Malvin says, I am committed to have a breakthrough in teaching an outreach class. Yeah. Katie says, I commit to having a breakthrough in self-esteem. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Rizwana says, I'm committed to having a breakthrough in the asanas that I have been struggling with. I'll read the last one, which is from Evan. Evan says, I am committed to having a breakthrough in communication, sharing my experiences with people on a larger scale through public speaking, writing. He's also committed to have a yoga practice and meditation to give me strength and courage. Again, I'm seeing them coming in. This is so awesome. I commit to having a breakthrough in meditation. Tabby says, and someone else is saying, I commit to having a breakthrough in devotion to teaching yoga. Hannah says she commits to having a breakthrough in daily meditation. Thank you so much for that. I'll move on to the final bit. And it is very important that we say these declarations out loud. So I will request that you share this declaration with someone out loud, like say it with your voice, project your voice and say it to someone. I commit to having a breakthrough. These breakthroughs that you have shared here in the chat, talking about courage, daily meditation, devotion, finding a job, in their yoga practice, in asanas, teaching outreach, time management, consistent practice, and all these other things. I want to challenge you, not I want to challenge you, actually I challenge you to say it out loud to someone. It could be any person you know in your life, or even just, walk up to a stranger and say, I commit to having a breakthrough in something specific and make a connection with someone new. And that today ends the discussion. And I'll share on the practices that we're going to have for this week. So this is now in preparation for the next week coming up. And week 2 of Vitality, we are going to practice again. Practice is consistent, so at least 6 days of practice. Pick 1 day to rest. And for this week, we'll practice for at least 30 minutes. So you could have more than 30 minutes, that's fine. But have it at least 30 minutes of practice. You might be doing your practice at outreach. It might be a personal practice, that's fine. 30 minutes through 6 days, and pick 1 day of rest. For the meditation, we are moving up to 10 minutes of meditation twice a day. Get present to your tapes and let them go. By tapes, we mean that the thoughts that keep coming up, the stories that we tell ourselves constantly. In meditation this week, we are to notice how draining listening to these tapes can be, and how much more vitality you can experience when you let them fade away. Just to support, I will upload on the Facebook group, I will upload a meditation that you're welcome to use. if you don't want to use it, that's fine, but I'll upload a meditation for those of us who would like to have that support and listen to that particular meditation. But again, I'll remind us to just listen to those tips and be able to let them go. Like, just listen and then let it go. The third practice, which is of balancing diet. This week, our focus is on fresh, life-giving foods. So no processed or canned foods. You will realize that preparing fresh food does not have to be a sacrifice. In fact, it can be a joy. Again, when it comes to the diet bit, I'll keep in mind, for those of us who are practicing, who are observing Ramadan, this can also apply to you. Even at iftar, enjoy those fresh, life-giving foods and try to stay away from the processed or the canned foods. And the last bit is on the excavating questions. And the excavation questions, I'll post them again on the Facebook group so that you can be able to access. And also they are on the book, the actual book on page 122. I invite people to use your small groups as a support and hold each other accountable on this journey. This does not mean being the police, like, no, you didn't, no, you did not, but rather let it be as a support of holding space. I saw someone post on the WhatsApp group what holding space means, and it was so inspiring. I think I'll also post that for the group as a guide. But yes, hold each other accountable using your small groups and being there for each other's growth and transformation. Okay, so somebody says that they are not able to access Facebook at the moment. So, all right, so I'll share the meditation and the excavation questions both on Facebook and also on email. So for those of us who can't access, you'll be able to see everything on the email or Facebook if that's where you're at. And with that, the time now is 4:23. I apologize for taking a bit longer than usual on the call, and I'll take steps to make sure we have a more smoother call next time. But please feel free to use the chat when you'd like to share in case you're having any difficulties. Feel free to use the chat so that we can be able to get your shares. Okay, so I'm about to open up. I'm about to unmute everyone. And in case you have one final thing to share, I'll just open it up for about a minute or so before we close the call. So in case you have any questions, I am opening the floor for you now. Any questions?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so yeah, go out there and have a week full of vitality.
Hello.
Yes. Yeah?
Can you hear you?
Yeah, can hear you.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
My question here is, like, how can I access the Facebook, because I can't access the Facebook group now, because sometimes I want to give my reports sometimes on the Facebook, but I can't access the Facebook group. So how can I access the Facebook group?
Okay. So I shared, check on your email, yeah? I shared a link that you can use to join the Facebook group. So I'll send it to you specifically again. But when you use the link, there are a few questions it will ask you before you join. There are 3 questions it will ask you. It will ask you, and you have to answer all those 3 questions so that you can actually be allowed access. So when you follow the link, you'll be able to see the question, answer those 3 questions, and then from there you'll be able to access. For sharing your report, For the outreach report, just take note of it because we are currently working on the accounts. But for your experience with 40 days in general, once you're able to access the group, you can be able to share there. Okay, so with that, that's the end of our call this week. And again, I'll see you next week, same time from 3 p.m. Kenyan time. And have an awesome week. Again, I'm available on, you can chat me or send me an email in case of anything. Yeah, enjoy the week. Bye.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank
welcome.
you.
Bye.
Rizana. How are you? Thank you.
Bye.
Rizana, she's sleeping.
All right, so I'm ending the call now. So catch up on WhatsApp and email, and yeah, enjoy.